After the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Pretti, my colleague Ali Berzon and I noticed a pattern. We found at least 16 shootings by federal immigration agents in the interior of the US over the last year, 3 of which have been fatal. That includes Good, Pretti, and Silverio Villegas-Gonzalez. We were interested in both the events of the shooting itself, but also what happened afterward. And the pattern that we started to see was that the Department of Homeland Security would almost immediately come out with these statements saying that people were violent and that they weaponized their vehicles to ram into federal agents. And then in 10 shootings, the people who had been shot were charged with assaulting a federal officer or other felony charges. Now, 6 of those have only happened recently, and all of those charges are still pending. But in 4 cases, they have gone to court. 2 of those cases were dismissed by judges. Philip Brown, a US citizen, was charged with fleeing from law enforcement after he was shot at in Washington, D.C., but a judge found that the government failed to provide any evidence that he was fleeing, and she even said that the ICE agent that fired at him did so, quote, for reasons that are completely unclear to me. Then there's Carlitos Ricardo Parias, an undocumented immigrant, whose case was dismissed after a judge found that the government's lawyers failed to give him access to his attorney and that they failed to provide evidence by the court-imposed deadline. And that included this body cam footage, which shows that agents had surrounded his car and one ultimately fires at him while his hands are up. In the other 2 cases, the government's own lawyers asked the court to dismiss the charges. Francisco Longoria was stopped by federal agents. They began to smash his windows. Then he sped away and was shot at. He was charged with assaulting a federal officer with a deadly weapon, being his vehicle. But when the government brought those charges to court, a judge questioned the basis of the stop to begin with, and less than a month later, the government had withdrawn its case. Lastly, there was the case of Marimar Martinez, a US citizen who was following federal agents around Chicago. She was charged with assaulting a federal agent with a deadly weapon after her vehicle collided with a Border Patrol agent's car and he shot her 5 times. In court, text messages from the agent who shot her appeared to show him bragging about the incident. About a month later, federal prosecutors asked the court to dismiss the charges. We asked the Department of Homeland Security about these 4 specific cases, and they sent us similar statements to the ones they'd issued at the time of the shootings. They also said that anyone who assaults or obstructs law enforcement will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I think what these cases showed us is that it is easy to bring claims against someone and turn those claims into charges, but it is more difficult to defend those charges in court.